Welcome back to...
I was going to see if you're going to do it. Welcome back to Dadventurous, everybody.
Hi.
Another week, another set of freaks recording a podcast while we try not to leak. No.
That sounds wrong.
While we take a peek at... I don't know.
The adventure that we seek.
Adventure that we seek. That's good. But yes, we're back again. We're going to continue on the story of P.I. Mel Ashgrave. That's right. And Marv.
Yeah. And Marv.
Marv's
here too. Don't forget Marv.
And the hero of the story, of course, being Marlock, the Noodle Hut owner.
A true hero.
Just
keeping everybody well fed. Keeping everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's keeping everybody well fed.
He's staying open slightly later than everybody else.
Slightly. Wasn't it like 12:21 or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Other than the usual like 12:10.
12:10 a.m. Yeah, he's great. He's a man of the people, an ogre of the people. And I don't think we have anything to say other than thank you all so much for listening. We've been having so much fun. It's been great getting back into this new season. So hopefully you guys are listening. Tell your friends. Leave us a comment.
Yeah. And we're glad that you all have listened to this.
We're glad you all have ears.
Yeah.
Because what would be the point of the podcast if you couldn't listen to our wonderful stories, voices, and jokes? Apparently.
Yeah.
Are you ready to jump back into the story, Miss Ashgrave?
Sure.
All right. I love that I force you to come up with these on the spot every time.
Oh, yeah. None of these are written down previously.
No.
I am completely improving stuff.
Dadventurous.
Among yet another twisting trail of leads, as the case had become more twisted than ever and tangled with different clues, different leads, all seemed to lead to nowhere. But alas, my time had come to meet with my client. I made my way through the murky depths of the streets of Mirelight and wallowed my way through the mud market on my path towards perhaps more answers, perhaps more complications. I followed my directions to an old alleyway on a generic street and felt a little bit of another case of deja vu. But my reverie was soon interrupted by another gloom spawn. But I fought back against a shadowy mirror of myself and succeeded just in time to meet my client, Lena Cass, in the street. She led me into her home. We had a little chat about my progression towards her sister's disappearance. But I felt perhaps this visit had led to more questions than answers, as she began to act strange upon my informing her about the progression of the case. However, now she's provided me perhaps some more tools that I can use to find my way forward towards the closed case.
And with that, we'll say that the door closes behind you, and you find yourself standing in a dark alley, in a dark street, looking across to an alleyway with a raccoon back in his trash can home.
I'm glaring at that raccoon. Never trust a raccoon.
Never. And no sign of any gloom spawn in sight.
Mm-mm.
Just the soft rhythm of the mud market nearby, the people shouting, and a note card or a piece of paper in your hand. Marv the sword stirs at your hip.
Yes.
Well, you gonna read it or are we gonna stand here?
Well, hey, give me his sec. I was trying to think back through like what I found out. But yeah, okay, you got a point. I lift up the paper and read it.
Okay, so on the paper you see 2 options. You see 2 names. And she said that she had basically some opportunities for you to get up, to get to the skyline where the Skyliners are. You got to ride a gondola.
Mm-hmm.
That or you'd have to climb a skyscraper, but that'd be crazy.
No, I ain't doing that.
And so there's 2 main options for the gondolas going up. There's the main one that goes right into the mud market that you know about. I should say public options. There's the main market, or the main one at Mud Market that is controlled heavily by the MMCD. You passed by it
And it was very heavily guarded.
And you know a couple things about the skyline. You know that the Gallows family is apparently moving up in the world, literally.
Literally.
And they're not really operating, or at least Silas isn't operating on the streets anymore. And then the other gondola that you know is in Murkburrough. Murkburrough is where Brixie, the automancer, lives. And she is responsible for the trolley and the batteries and all that stuff that keeps it so that people don't have to use too much magic at risk of opening
a rift.
On the piece of paper, you see 2 names. So one of the names says Plobert Quilby.
You feel free to tell me the spelling of that if you would like.
I mean, it sounds exactly like, it's spelled exactly like it sounds.
Quibbly?
Plobert Quilby.
Quilby. That was close.
Quilby, yes. And you roll me a history check, pretty please.
History check.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
And why don't you just roll 2, and we'll remember this number and then the second number.
This number is a 13, and then my other number is a non-natural 20.
Okay.
For my second.
So, you see the name Plobert Quilby.
Mm-hmm.
You probably, with the 13, you put together that you think you've seen that name before, but
Somewhere.
you don't know the person. But Quilby is a name often attached to the Mirelight Gazette, the newspaper that is pushed out throughout the city.
Oh.
So you might not know him, but you know the name, and you'd probably go, oh, that guy somehow probably is associated, maybe a family member, or maybe the guy who runs the Mirelight Gazette.
All right.
In Murkburrough. The other name on the piece of paper that you read, and you got a non-natural 20 for, you see the name Thunker. Thunker Gloomrage.
Thunker Gloomrage. All right.
And we're going to say that you know enough because Hazetown is ogre territory. And the only ogre that you truly know is Marlock.
Yeah.
But Thunker, we're going to say with the non-natural 20, you've seen Thunker come into town, and you've probably exchanged pleasantries with Thunker.
Oh.
As he's done pickups at Marlock's Noodle Hut before.
Oh, all right. Thunker Gloomrage. All right.
Mm-hmm. And he's, you've seen him, big guy. All ogres are big people. But always wears a little bit of a suit type vest, just the vest jacket.
Yeah.
But, not very clean, and always has a pair of glasses on his head.
Like spectacles or
like spectacles.
Oh. She's like a smartly dressed ogre, but
She basically told you one of these people, one of these names could help you in some way to get papers, to get access, to go up a gondola. You know a lot about Murkburrough. You've probably spent plenty of time there. This is where all the arcane batteries are, all the gadgetry that comes out, people using magic.
Is it more of an industrial zone?
Very much more of an industrial zone, lots of gears and steam engines and things like that. And then across the river to the east, you know of Hazetown. Hazetown is Ogre District. The MMCD doesn't really have a force there.
They don't come over a lot.
No, but people are allowed to go over. There's some trading that happens with the ogres. They just have a reputation for you don't cross an ogre.
Yeah.
Unless you want to end up in a stew, you don't cross the Gloom Rages.
Wait, are the Gloom Rages, well, from what I know, are they more of a prominent
we'll
ogre
say
family?
that as you see the name Thunker Gloom Rage, you know that that's important because the leader of Hazetown, kind of self-appointed governor, is Mama Gloomrage.
Ah, I see. All right.
And You've never met her, but you've heard the name.
All right. Guy, I take a minute and I look over the paper. Quick question.
Anything.
This is a random question. Did Lena, when she was writing this, as I now have the paper in my hand, did she use any, like, type of stationery?
You want to investigate the paper itself?
Yeah. Is it just like a sheet of, like, your average printer paper or journal paper?
Okay, I
is
see
it
where
like
this is going. Yeah, go ahead, roll for me. I'm going to give you advantage.
Okay.
This is kind of your thing.
Investigation?
Yeah.
Non-natural 20.
A non-natural 20. Okay. I'm going to say that with that, you hold it up to the soft light of
the
street lamps in the alleyway. Marv at one point, he's like, here, check, use me. And you've used this before.
I hold up the sword and the gem glows on it.
Little green flame blade.
Yeah.
We'll say you hold it like behind the paper. You get the feeling as you're seeing this that, how best do I want to say this? The paper is not the same sort of feeling like you would have of normal paper. It almost feels like newspaper.
Oh.
It almost feels like that kind of thinner sort of, you know what I mean? That thin paper that has kind of a crinkle to it.
Yeah, it's not like...
But there's no printing on it. It's just, now that you're looking at it, you kind of see maybe a little bit of markings of like pressed, like a press material. This paper feels a little weird with a non-natural 20.
It's like it's not necessarily like your average paper, but it's not like a
It's
special,
not a newspaper.
But it's like that type of paper that they use for it. All right.
And so you get that feeling. So with a non-natural 20, I would say whether or not that was intentionally pointing you one direction is not necessarily the case. But somehow, some way, Lena has paper that you would often associate with picking up a Mirelight Gazette and taking a read.
All right. I think I tuck the paper in my pocket.
Okay.
And I turn to Marv. Well, kind of like, you know.
You turn to Marv.
I look down at the sword.
Yeah. What's up?
I'm like, let's go to the old headquarters of the Mirelight Gazette.
You want to go now, or you want to?
Or I pull out my... Wait, do I... I've always imagined that I had like a pocket watch.
Sure.
Do you think I had like a normal watch?
Yeah.
Like,
he goes, well, yeah, you want to go now, or you want to?
I pull out my pocket watch and flip it open. What time is it by now?
You met her at 5:10.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably dinner time. It's probably 6 o'clock after that meeting. You're standing outside.
I guess let's hold it off for tomorrow. Get a good night's rest.
Okay.
First thing in the morning, we're heading off to Murkburrough. And I think I head back to my apartment above.
So you're
Marlette's.
heading back through the mud market?
Yeah, I'm heading back through the mud market.
Anything you want to do in there? It's still bustling. There's still a lot of people, hawkers selling, fish, rats on a stick and...
Fish rats?
Yeah. Part fish, part rat.
Oh, no. I think...
There's lots of, clothing, and somebody sees your pocket watch, and they're like, I'll shine your pocket watch for you. 70 gold only.
No thanks. I've recently cleaned it.
All right. Never forget me. They call me Shiny Steve. Sorry. I don't know why.
What was that random?
Shiny Steve.
Shiny Steve, all right.
You know what? They say
is
to
this
introduce,
a recurring character now?
Introduce bad guys early. And Shiny Steve is actually the main...
Shiny Steve's the criminal mastermind.
Mastermind.
All right. I think...
He's going to shine up the world.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
I think as I head back through, I kind of pull the same, tip of the fedora down, trench coat, collar flipped up. As I pass by why am I forgetting her name?
Harima's haberdashery.
Yeah, Harima's haberdashery. I would like to kind of just take a glance at the door. It's just general area. Is that Gallows family and the MMCD officer still there?
Make a perception check.
2.
A 2?
Not great.
Not that you can see, but the door's open.
I think with that exchange earlier, I go up to the door.
Okay.
take a peek inside. Not necessarily like going in. Kind of like window shopping. Wait,
Yeah.
are there any windows?
Yeah, there's windows. It's kind of like a house. I'd say that there's up 3 steps to get to the door, and then on either side of the door, there's these big windows displaying hats upon hats upon hats with feathers, with suede creations, anything from bridal veils to fedoras. She's got them. She makes them.
All right, I think.
I think you even see a few like masks and things like
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I would like to, under the guise of window shopping, kind of head up to the front window and peek through it. Are
Okay.
there any?
I'll let you make
Inside.
another perception check or investigation.
And my investigation is better, and I am looking for something. I am 17.
17? Okay. You see inside the very iconic silhouette of Harima herself. Again, an elderly half-dwarf, half-orc.
Oh, right.
So she's a short orc with braided hair, and she's busy at the counter sewing together a new hat. And she's like steaming it and pressing it down on a mold, and she's just hard at work.
All right. I think with that, I just wander off.
Okay, you don't want to go in or anything?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Then you wander off.
And back.
Can you
towards
please
my
make,
apartment.
as you make your way through the mud market, a general sort of stealth check
Yeah.
for just blending in?
Wow, a 6.
Okay.
Not great.
Duly noted. So you make your way back through the market. Are you
Oh.
hopping on the trolley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I'm
You
hot.
hop back on the trolley.
Hop the trolley back to Noodle Hut.
I think as you're hopping on the trolley too, maybe because you're thinking about it a little more, you see the back end of the trolley has kind of a glow, like a soft sort of teal glow to it. And there's the brand, the badge of Brixie's Automancy, like an emblem, almost like a
Oh.
car emblem,
Oh.
on a battery in the back there. And again, arcane batteries kind of
Okay.
providing power to
Provide
this
magical
old city,
power
yeah.
without.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Hop the
Anything you wanna do
trolley.
on the way? Trolley's got
No.
a couple people in it. Driver this time is a pretty young, impressionable human guy. He's wearing way too fancy of a clothes for a
Ooh.
trolley driver. Looks like he's new.
He looks like he's a new recruit. I think honestly, just with Mel's like whole opinion of the night, I think she'd just be kind of like casual, but like on alert, like
Okay.
not necessarily like actively looking for something, but just like aware. I feel like,
Hyper aware.
yeah, with how she's.
Okay. Then
Had the night
go. Okay, if that's the case, we're going to say about halfway down your trolley thing, you cross kind of the main threshold of the mud market. You start making your way back in towards the town where a lot of the residences are.
Back towards
Get
the
back
Glens.
down towards your street. Can you make, or actually, what's your passive perception?
My 10.
10, okay. I'm going to say, can you make a perception check at disadvantage?
Oh, but I rolled so good. Oh, still pretty good. 14.
A 14?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you get the feeling. You look, you don't see anything. You keep glancing around, you don't see anything.
Fog's kind of.
Fog's moving like normal. It
Yeah.
swirls around the trolley as it goes down the streets. Very cool.
Ding.
Yeah, there's a ding ding approaching your stop. I think you just have the feeling that you get when you feel like someone's invaded your personal space, but there's no one around you. Kind of like maybe you feel
Am I?
like you're being watched.
Am I the last rider on the trolley?
No, there's still a couple people
Okay.
there. There's kind of a more main hub of residences coming. You live just down this one side of the street. A couple businesses,
All right.
Marlock's hut, etc.
I think she just has that feeling.
Mhm.
Probably thinks that Marv in her head. See anything? Feel anything?
I don't know if I got to tell you this like every day or just somewhat, but I'm a sword.
Well, yeah, but
I can
you
only
know,
see what you see.
You're always talking about keeping my eyes open, so I don't know.
That's true. At least you still got them.
Fair enough.
Eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes, yeah. I don't know. I
Well-
just I see what you're saying though. It feels like this case is getting bigger
Yeah.
every day, and it's only
Bigger,
the same
but-
day.
Yeah, it's only the same. Wait a minute.
Or wait, no. Yeah, no, it's the same day.
Yeah, it's only been one day, Marv.
I know. I don't like it.
I think you're right about that. As I step off the trolley.
Yeah, you hear a ding ding, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay, your stop's up there, ma'am."
I really want to prank this guy, but I don't know what to do. Oh, no, I don't got anything. Okay, wait a minute. I know what to do.
Okay.
I say, thanks, have a good night. I step off the trolley. And as I do, I cast Thaumaturgy.
Okay.
And right next to his ear, I'm going to pull the same trick I did with Mario. Right next to his ear, I'm going to because I can make a sound within 30 feet of me. So I am going to make the loud call of a crow suddenly. That's a bad crow impression in his ear.
You see the guy goes, "Okay, yeah, thanks. You have a wonderful." And I think you hear the trolley like scrape forward.
Yeah.
And he drives away, and he dings the dinger a little few too many times.
Ding, 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 ding. I check one of myself.
Yeah, and then there you go. You're at your house there, or I should say your office, and you see the telltale sign of your front door, which has your logo on it, your name. Or I should say,
yeah, it says
in like soft white letters, Private Investigator Mel Ashgrave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it just says like Mel Ashgrave, PI.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I like it.
And I open the door, close it behind me. There's anything. Am I still getting that weird feeling?
Now that you step inside, not so much.
No.
Yeah.
All right. I take off my hat, take off my coat.
You make your way up to your
I make my way up to my office, hang them up. Actually, no. I take off like Marv's like scabbard and everything.
Okay.
But I'm gonna keep them on the desk cuz I think I'm staying up for a little bit.
Okay.
While. Take that off, maybe brush out my hair a little bit. Sigh and kick my feet up on the desk and say, well, today's been a long day, but we finally got a case.
That's true. I don't need to sleep anymore, though, so the day sort of just fits where it fits for me.
What do you do at night?
Stare into the middle distance, wait for the sun to come up.
I thought you said you didn't have eyes.
It's sort of a feeling. You know, how you stare, but you're not really looking at anything.
Oh, yeah, but you're not actually looking at anything.
Correct.
I see.
You know how it is. You just stare and you wonder, what's in that soup? That soup of a city.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's tangled mess of noodles out there.
Oh, nice. I'd high five you if I could, but I am a sword.
I wouldn't want that cutting edge of yours.
I trained you well. Good one. Well, what do you think? What are you going to decide tomorrow? We're going to go to the...
Going somewhere, all right.
Okay.
I pull out my typewriter.
Okay.
And
pull it out?
I pull it out, and I type up more notes. And I think my office door, I think, has a window in it. It's like one of those windows that you often see where it's like you can't even actually see through it.
Yeah, it's got like, that film on it.
Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
As I'm typing it up, and I pull out the papers as I've added more notes on the cast case now, more about Lena.
Mm-hmm.
And
you also have that bracelet, don't forget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm keeping that on, I think. And I, again, kind of just take an ambient check around before I pull up, slam the wall. My Murphy bed flaps out and take out the folder, put them in. Notes in.
So you're just looking around? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking around.
You also have a window, I think.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if I had a window.
Yeah, So you have the door, but you also have like a window overlooking the street where you just trolleyed in.
Yeah, I think actually before I took those notes in, I think I'd take a look outside, just like pull aside the curtains, shutters, whatever, and just take a look,
Sure.
kind of maybe going off of Marv's little monologue about staring out into the tangled noodle soup of a city. So,
All right. Go ahead and make your roll.
chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, I think it's probably just perception because you're just looking around.
3.
A 3?
Horrible.
I think you're expecting something. I think you're looking out and going, maybe there's a shape out there. Maybe there's somebody watching me. That's the feeling you got. But I think you just look out into the city, and I think you immediately start just sort of thinking back about the past.
Probably thinking about how all of this is seems to be more connected to what
What are you gonna get yourself into?
And I think thinking about that past, Mel kind of snaps out of it, closes the shutters, closes the curtains, puts the notes back, sits down. I sit down in my Murphy bed, stare around my office for a second, and stare at Marv again. I think I just muttered.
Is he just sitting on the table?
Yeah, I think he is. I think
he's got that soft green gem that glows kind of. I like to imagine it glows every time he talks.
Yeah,
in rhythm with his voice.
like a one of those lighted speakers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I imagine it.
I love that. I think I stare around. I stare at Marv's sword again, sigh, and go, well, he was right about one thing. This is getting pretty interesting. All right, Marv. I think it's time for me to hit the hay. But tomorrow morning, we're heading out.
Sleep well, kid.
I like to think that Mel doesn't really have pajamas. She'll sleep in them, but for cases, she does not. Just
sleep on top of your bed type of thing?
Yeah, I think she definitely pulls the thing where she takes off her coat, and takes off, but yeah, she still has, her shirt and pants on and everything. And I think she just, lays down, maybe takes, one sheet that she has and puts it over herself, even though there's actually blankets, and just sits there and falls asleep.
Hey, if you use the sheets, you got to make that bed.
Yeah.
And who wants to do that when you're busy?
True.
Okay. You can have yourself a long rest.
Yay!
And for lack of, needing to exposit too much, you wake up the next morning. The soft glow of the sunlight that you don't really get to see too much. But again,
it's that
coming
kind
in through the window, that gray mist still clinging as always.
Mm-hmm.
And the day is yours. Marv's still sitting there on the table, sees you wake up, and he goes, the soup was deep last night. I stared into it for hours.
No?
Yep.
See anything tasty?
The only tasty thing I see is justice. It looks like pastry. I don't know. Anyway, you ready?
Well, yeah, I think so. I stand up and say, well, you know what? Could be pastry. Or, justice could be like those little chicken chunks in the chunks.
In the soup?
Yeah.
That's true.
Those little chicken chunks in the chicken noodle soup
right.
of the
I
city.
love that because it's you get soup and the broth is fine and everything, but you get a bite of chicken.
Yeah, but then you get it and then it's
oh man.
Wait.
Deep sigh, and he goes, man, I miss chicken.
You can still kind of eat it.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of, let's get breakfast and get a move on.
I love just how this has devolved into more and more soup references.
Yeah, he's all about the soup references.
Now I can't stop thinking about how justice chicken noodle soup.
I love
that's
it.
what I'm thinking of. But yeah.
Is there anything you want to do, or should we move on our way to to your decision?
Yeah, no, I don't think. She probably still checks everything. Probably still has that address list that Lena gave her. So it was the bracelet.
You have the 2 choices on it.
Yeah. I honestly don't think she'd take anything else from her office or anything. Just what she had last night.
Then you make your way downstairs and out into the street.
Take a look around. Is it more sunny today? A little.
Yeah, I'd say it's got a little bit of a warmer glow today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still, again, looking at lights through fog, but yeah.
Take a look around the street. You
got a couple businesses on your street. You got Marlock's, and that's it.
Yeah, I think she just wait for the next trolley, heading out in the right direction towards Murkburrough.
Okay, so you're heading to Murkburrough.
Yep.
Okay, you hop on the trolley and you make your way through town. Again, dark shapes in the fog. It's always hard to tell
Whether or not they're people or
if there's
just
gloom
objects
spawn
or
moving around or who knows what.
Yeah.
But you make your way through town. You go past a different route than the mud market. You make your way over through parts of the city you haven't been in a little while. Kind of an area where there's a lot of rundown buildings and old like street lamps that don't work anymore, things like that.
I think as I'm heading through, I kind of like check in with Marv occasionally in my head, but just she probably didn't go on a lot of missions with him, or not like actual missions.
No, not much.
But
you were pretty new when this
Yeah.
whole thing happened.
But I think I asked him like about maybe some of the places that we went. Do you like remember that place? Like
Oh, I see.
for training or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like
And
seeing what happened. But
For
yeah.
sure. And he'd chime in accordingly, like, yeah, we remember that. I remember that when we had to stop that guy from stealing squashes.
Oh yeah, the squash thief. I remember him.
Squashy Steve.
Was that his name? I can't quite remember the apprehension license.
Yeah. Okay, so you make your way through.
Yeah.
I will say, as you're moving along, make another perception check as you're riding along the ferry. Or sorry, the trolley.
Charlie. Natural 20.
Ooh, a natural 20.
For a
really?
20.
Okay. As you're moving through, you move through kind of this darker the aspect right before you cross into Murkburrough. The trolley ducks down into a tunnel.
Oh.
And it goes underground. And as you drop down underground, a lot of the underground area is not used very often. Underneath the fens, there is kind of like a old city almost down there. And so there's areas where...
Do you think it's more like old tunnel systems?
Yeah, it's like old tunnel systems.
Like buildings underneath?
No, it's more like old tunnel systems. Some of these buildings probably have basements that go down there.
Oh, yeah.
There's probably some open areas. So not a lot down here, but there's definitely some stuff down below. And the underneath area is pretty commonly a spot for black magic deals. Black market deals, things like that. And I'm going to say as you drop down with a natural 20, right before you cross the border over into Murkburrough, you see down a little side tunnel, you see a very deja vu style scene, but you catch just a glimpse with that nat 20 of some well-dressed gallows family individuals meeting with some of the poorer rundown folk down underneath the ground, and they seem to be trading off a deal of some sorts.
Okay.
But that's just with that nat 20. The trolley's moving, and before you can really react, it goes
gone.
Ding ding, and you rise back up out of the tunnel, and you arrive in Murkburrough.
As I look around Murkburrough, actually I look behind me.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? What is this going under? What is this?
Yeah,
what would elicit a tunnel here?
Yeah, so I think going underneath here it's almost like the city is divided a little bit by kind of walls in a way, basically old structures and things. You're going underneath a very, very rundown, broken apart old skyscraper that has basically been demolished. And instead of figuring out a way to go through, they went under. And so it's just a section of town where not really anybody lives too much. It's pretty busted up. And so that's kind of what you went under. And as you pop up in Murkburrough, very different feel. It's noisy.
Oh.
It's very noisy. You hear the grinding of gears. You hear steam whistles. You hear people working, hammers clanging. Very, very industrial.
Is part of the fog here mixed more with smoke?
Yeah. That's a good thought for sure. I definitely think that the air is a little thicker here in Murkburrough. Yeah. But that kind of implies that it would be dirty or something like that. That's not the case. This place is
industrial.
Just busy.
Oh, okay.
And the trolley comes to a ding ding stop.
Ding ding.
And you hop off at the
square
station, whatever.
Yeah.
And immediately you are addressed by big signs that are moving back and forth that say welcome to Murkburrough and point you towards the market's that way and the Brixie's Automancer shop is this way. And so it's very
not necessarily
Not
touristy,
but just kind of like, it's like they're showing off their gadgets.
Yeah.
The doors are
Mechanical and
they have sort of an automatic feel where you get closer and there's a little gear that turns and they open on their own kind of vibe. But there is a guy there pressing a button and, just stuff like that where it's still Mirelight for sure. But you see a lot of people walking around with pocket watches. You see people walking around with interesting little steampunky style gadgets on their arms.
Oh, mechanical.
Yeah.
Interesting. She's been here before quite a lot.
Yeah, you've been here for sure. And you've probably partially been here because Brixie, the Automancer, kind of deals with everybody. And the MMCD back in the day, they got some of their gear from Brixie.
Yeah,
Things like
with
crossbows and stuff like that. And she is this big, respected, whatever you want to call it, engineer.
Yeah, not necessarily like a celebrity, but she's more of just...
But everyone knows who Brixie is.
Yeah.
And everyone knows her gadgets.
I think.
And then there's probably a sign for the Mirelight Gazette.
Yeah. I think I take a look around, take a look at that Mirelight Gazette sign. But there's also signs pointing towards Brixie's shop, right? I'll remember that. But I had toward the Mirelight Gazette first, if there's signs pointing the way.
There are signs pointing the way. You make it towards the Mirelight Gazette, and about halfway there, you hear a voice calling out into the streets, and you hear a voice go, "Extra, extra, read all about it! MMCD Commissioner Renshaw up for re-election! Will he make it? Or will Calloway take the lead?"
I look around, hearing mention of the MMCD for whoever is talking this newspaper, it seems.
Yep. Extra, extra, read all about it. Rifts opening more and more frequently. Some rifts have been opening up in the skyline.
I'm looking around for whoever's selling these, and I follow the voice.
Extra. And as you get a little closer and he uses his own voice. Oh, Mel, is that you? And you recognize the voice of Skippin' Florentine.
I love that name.
Skippin', of course, being the little newsy boy that hawks the newspapers here in Murkburrough. And he runs over to you and he sets the newspapers down, and you see this little kid. He's probably 10. He's wearing the newsy cap.
Yeah,
He's got the vest.
He got the hat. He got the vest. He got the overalls.
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
And he immediately drops the papers, reaches into his pocket, whips out a little notebook, flips the lid open, pulls a pencil from his ear, and he goes, Mel, tell me everything. What have you been up to? Have you solved any cool crimes? Is there anything exciting happening in the city? I need to write articles right now.
Slow down for just a second.
Okay. Also, my mom got you these, and
what?
he just pulls out.
I've met this kid.
You have, and he pulls out like a bag full of just crumpled cookies that you don't think was for you at all whatsoever. And he hands them to you here.
It's like,
she made them just for you. I promise.
No. You keep those.
Okay.
I've been
this
doing great.
is Skippin'. You've run into Skippin' a lot. He's a little bit of a fan of yours because you're a crime solver and he wants to be a reporter.
But right now he's just hawking newspapers.
He's just hawking newspapers for now.
All right. So nice to see you again, Skippin'.
Yeah. What do you got for me?
Question first. Can I buy one of your newspapers?
Sure. 1 gold apiece.
I hand over gold.
Okay.
And because that it's about the MMCD, I want to see what that entails.
Yeah.
But a gold.
He whips around, puts his notebook away, and hands you a paper. You flip it open with that nice soft crinkle of paper, maybe a familiar feeling of paper.
Yeah. Take it out. Read the headline.
Yeah, you see 2 major stories here. Number 1, MMCD Commissioner Renshaw up for re-election.
Oh.
And Renshaw, of course,
How
was
long are
there.
the terms?
They're a couple years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, probably 4 years. But Renshaw was there. He was the commissioner back when you were on the force with Marv. You hear, speaking of Marv, you hear him just grumble. No good. And then...
Does he do that out loud?
No, just to
Okay.
you. And then it says, Commissioner Renshaw up for re-election, but first-time challenger,
Candidate?
Captain Calloway. That you
Yeah, Officer Calloway.
know who that is a little bit. Do you remember?
He was one of the officers that refused to investigate Marv's death, wasn't he?
He sure was.
Yeah.
And it says, new challenger Captain Calloway, rising star in the MMCD, looking to take over as commissioner.
I think
I don't know why I'm doing the voice still, but
yeah,
I like
you're
it.
still
Yeah,
doing
it's
that
great.
voice. It's great. Is Skippin narrating it?
Yeah. As you start to realize, like, what's that? I wonder why I'm
like,
getting this
why
so
am I
well. And
reading
you
it?
look at Skippin and he goes, I've memorized the whole thing. You probably didn't even need to buy a paper.
Oh,
as he pockets the gold.
I make a point of folding the paper over and sticking it inside my trench coat. And I say, well, thank you, Skippin. Glad to see you're still making business, you know.
Yeah. And the other article in there's good too if you want to check it out.
Yeah, maybe I'll check it out later when I have the time. But
Okay.
you know, right now I gotta go head somewhere.
Where are you going? Can I come?
Well, I'm heading over to the Gazette actually to talk to one of the people there. You know, he's I've been searching around for
You talking to Mr. Quilby?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's there. Yeah.
Plobert Quilby.
Yeah, he runs the paper. I can get you in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you have connections inside?
Yeah, he's my boss.
Oh. I mean, yeah. If you got connections, I would like to.
These kinds of transactions usually go two ways, Mel. And he pulls out his little journal again and pencil. I could get you in, but maybe it'll cost you a story.
Okay. So
Feel free to improv like a past case or whatever the heck.
Oh
you
yeah.
want.
Oh yeah. I say, all right, kid, walk with me. You get me an appointment with Plobert Quilby, and I'll give you a story about one of my previous cases. Got it?
Can I get a hint?
Deal?
It's a deal.
Right. I spit in my hand and hold out my hand.
He hawks a loogie, and you guys have a spit bond.
It's deal.
The deal.
All right, business done. Now, okay, I'll tell you about this case that I had a while back. Couple months back, I had this lady. She came to my office. She lives near me on my street. And she came into my office and she was very frantic because she was talking about her missing cat. Now, her cat.
Skip and goes, a cat? Oh, that'd be like a dead guy or something.
I mostly deal in small cases here.
Okay.
I mean,
all right, I'll take it.
She was worried that the cat was dead though, because
Oh,
it
okay.
had disappeared mysteriously.
All right.
And I'm walking with him as I'm doing this, and she was looking for her prize-winning Siamese cat that she had, and so I was like, okay, I'll help you. And this is actually the third time it's gone missing. We didn't know where it went or how it got away each time. This is the third time that lady's Siamese cat had gone missing. Now, I managed to follow some clues, followed some prints along the city, and I first found my way, and I continued to detail this cat case that I went along with a while back, which I actually told you guys a little bit about in episode 1, I think, with my more than just the cat's out of the bag now.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I'm talking about the same case, and I continue to detail it to him, telling the story about how I followed some clues, some cat scratches that eventually led to some muddy paw prints along, and I followed my way through the mud market and found my way actually into Harima's haberdashery. I found that Miss G's precious Siamese cat had run away and had taken to snuggling up in Miss Harima's hat displays.
Oh, okay.
And I found the cat and I took it back. It hasn't disappeared since yet, but that's the story as I finish.
As you
wrapping it up.
finish up, Skippin goes, great, okay. And you hear him like talking to himself a little bit, like catnapper, like murder. And he shows you the thing, and it says like, beloved prized cat vanished without a trace, lured, kidnapped, or murdered.
Wow.
And he goes, lock up your pets. A catnapper walks among us.
I'm just like, I think
just totally taking it.
I grab his notebook and I take a look at it and I just raise an eyebrow, maybe think at Marv, and I'm just like, what
Yeah, he's like, yeah, kid's got promise. He's lying just like the best of them.
I know. I think like she's equally just like slightly offended that he took the case out and and made it into this big thing, but also like she hands the note. I hand the notebook back to her and I'm just like, hey kid, no, maybe you should think about being a reporter or something.
That's what I want to be one day.
You got skill, you know. But
yeah, it's definitely well written.
Remember to keep the truth in there, okay?
Like just a little bit though, right?
Like you want like the headline can be exciting, but like you can add some speculations in there, but you still want the story to be true. You know?
I'll keep that in mind. All right, here we are. And he leads you over and you start walking down the street towards this big printing press. You smell the paper smell of paper getting made. Still pretty industrial. You get the sounds of that. Lots of these workers going in and out. Vehicles, more like steam vehicles and things that you've seen. Some of Brixie's creations. Picking up papers.
Wait, question. Are these like weird mechanical contraption vehicles? Or are they like kind of like still like that arcane mechanical, but are they like vintage model, like 1920s like style-ish?
Yeah, I think
like
you're getting a lot
late 1800s.
Yeah, I
or
think
like
you're getting a lot of that style. Almost like repurposed old model cars, things like that, but they have, the trunks ripped off of them and an arcane situation going on. They're still moving around, but yeah, all older stuff. A lot of this older vibe for sure.
All right. I think I look up and, straighten my fedora a little bit, and turn.
He goes, wait here. I'll go let him know you're here to visit.
Oh right, yeah. You let him. You let Mr. Quilby know that.
Okay.
Now, does he run off inside?
Yep, he runs off through a little side door. There's a bunch of other kids that are coming out of a side tiny little door with newspapers, and he rushes in. I thought you might enjoy this. And he rushes in and disappears for a minute. While he's standing out here, please make a perception check.
Yeah, I'll do that. I think I'm kind of looking around, making sure I'm out of the way of the vehicles. But 13. Perception?
A vehicle rolls by, and as you notice, you start to kind of hear a little bit of a commotion. Is it just a +0?
Yeah. Oh. I have a horrible perception.
Wow, that's great. Better investigation, but horrible perception.
Yeah, I have a +4 into investigation, but
a vehicle rolls by you, and a guy wearing a little outfit goes by. He's full of papers in the back, taking it somewhere in town, and the Mirelight Gazette is kind of all across Mirelight, so it's the newspaper.
You got the carts going out and things.
Yep, carts are going out, and you actually start hearing some raised voices a little bit out front of the printing press.
Oh.
And you actually, now that you look again, Skip and went in through the side door, but you actually notice some people kind of coming out the front door.
Oh.
And there was quite a few people gathering out around front. And you actually notice a few of these MMCD officers, but also quite a few members of Brixie's Garage.
Oh.
People with like leather aprons. They're all wearing like matching worker engineer outfits. And a lot of different people gathered up, and they seem to be having a commotion, having a talk about what's going on.
Are they like gathered together, or are they like trying to keep people away from something?
A little bit of both, actually, as you're starting to recognize that. Yeah, the MMCD guys and some of the engineers are chatting, and others are being kept kind of away. And as you're standing there, you actually see this guy come rushing down the stairs, and you see a halfling plump guy wearing a very, very fancy outfit and longer coat, big old handlebar mustache, monocle, and he's covered in soot and covered in all sorts of stuff, and he comes rushing down the stairs.
I want to try to edge closer to the scene without being standing there, but just I want to be
you edge closer, and with that 13, you see one of the engineers run up and be like, Mr. Quilby, we'll get a handle on it, don't worry. And he's like, hey, I didn't let you build this printing press so that it could go haywire. I got newspapers to make.
And he's covered in soot?
Yeah, he's covered in soot, and he looks pretty beat up. MMCD officers are keeping everybody back, and there's more people rushing out, and that's what you heard.
All right. Oh, Skippin went in through side door.
He sure did. And as you look over at the side door, a bunch of kids are rushing out, but not Skippin.
I go over and I kind of walk towards the side door. Are there any kids that are coming out kind of slower, or are they all rushing out, or are they just coming out?
They're coming out with purpose.
All right.
We'll say there's one kid that comes out also similarly covered in soot. Little girl, tiefling like yourself, has a curly set of horns.
I tapped the girl on the shoulder.
Light purple skin. Yeah. Huh. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering if I noticed a commotion out by the front, and I was wondering if there's anything going on inside.
Oh, and she wipes her eyes the soot away, and she goes, one of the machines, it started going crazy. It started pumping out smoke and everything. I don't know. It seemed like maybe it was going to explode or something.
Explode?
I don't know.
Is the building being evacuated?
The building's being evacuated, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, you run along. Make sure everybody's safe.
Okay, and she coughs and runs along.
I take one scan of the street.
Okay.
And kind of want to make sure there's nobody. I want to make sure there's nobody paying attention to me specifically.
Make an investigation check.
Just not necessarily if trying to be sneaky, but 13.
Okay.
13,
I think in the commotion right now, even if people are looking towards you, they're not really paying attention to that, because as you say that, you look up and smoke and soot is starting to billow out a little bit of the windows, starting to come out of the crack in the front door.
I take that scan and I duck my head and open the side door.
You open the side door and
I step through.
You step through. All right.
Yeah.
I love it. I didn't think you'd go through the side door. You have to get down low. I think you open up the door and you're kind of going in as they're all coming out. And you...
do you think I have a water on me at all?
I mean, yeah, you have rations and stuff, sure.
Okay. I think I'd pull out probably my little hand water bottle that I keep around for going around the city. And I take the corner of my coat and I pour some water on it and I stuff it up over my face.
Okay,
smoke
wet
procedure,
the thing,
folks.
You walk your way through the hallway. You have this cloth on your face. Marv starts glowing, and he's just all right, kid, be careful. And you step through, and as you step into this room, you actually see a huge set of printing presses. There's 2 of them, and they're massive. And one of them is shut down, but the other one seems to be pumping out papers, but it's pumping them out really hard, really fast. And you see papers are flying everywhere, and you see this thing is billowing out with smoke. And as you kind of step in right at about that point, you hear this alarm sound start to go off from the streets. And you know that Brixie's garage has all sorts of gadgets, including
probably have a
fire department. However, you don't see anybody nearby. But as you're looking up into the smoke up above, you see the smoke shooting out through a hole in the roof.
Oh.
And swirling in is the mists, and there seems to be a figure swirling out of the mists and standing on top of the printing press.
I pull my sword.
I
pull Marv out, but I'm also, just in case, because if I did not see Skip and exit, this kid's annoying, but I also don't want him to be caught in a burning building. And so I pull out my sword, but I'm also going to, again, cast thaumaturgy, and I am going to shout and project my voice.
Okay.
It just makes it louder. So I am going to make my voice louder, and I just shout, if there's anybody still in here, everybody should exit now. This is a burning building. This is an emergency.
And as you say that, your voice echoing throughout the halls, I like to think it like reverberates through the mist a little bit. You do hear this sound from the other side of the printing press that sounds an awful lot like Skippin yelling, extra, extra, read all about it. Boy trapped under printing press. And the shape on top of the printing press, this
terrified flight from Burning Inferno. Yeah. You heard the story right here.
And this shape from atop the printing press.
If any of you got that reference.
Towards Mel. Huh? And it formulates into this large half smoke, half gloam spawn. As 4-6 legs form out from this shape, and like a crab with some front big pinchers, it crawls down the printing press towards you. And that's where we're going to end today's episode.
Oh, no, not Skippin'. Oh, wow.
Skippin', you fool.
That poor little newsy.
Poor little newsy boy. Oh. And that's where we're going to end it. You're going to have to fight a crab beast, crab monster next week.
All right. That was an entertaining episode with the printing press disaster.
That's right. Printing press disaster.
Also, if any of you listeners randomly got any of those references, I will be both surprised and happy. So
that's true.
Leave us a comment. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, if you're a fan, leave us a comment. But I think that's it. So we're going to jump back into some combat next time. But thank you all for listening to Mel Ashgrave's next adventure.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys are having a good time with season 3.
No, we are. And see you next week.
Yeah, we will see you next week on Dadventurous.